The $200 million mistake. What success cost me. Let me ask you something. What would you give up to become wildly successful? Your evenings? Your weekends? Maybe a few missed family dinners? I made that trade. And looking back now at 76 years old, sitting alone in my beachfront condo, I can tell you exactly what it cost me. Everything that actually mattered. My name is David. I turned a startup into a $200 million empire. The business world called me brilliant. Magazines put me on their covers. Young founders lined up to learn my so-called secrets. Want to know the real secret? I destroyed my family while building my fortune. And by the time I realized what I'd done, there was no going back. If you've ever told yourself, just one more year of grinding, then I'll slow down, you need to hear what happened to me. Because that's exactly what I said. For 20 straight years. Picture this. It's 1978. I'm 30, freshly married to Sarah and burning with ambition. Everyone said starting my own business was foolish. I was determined to prove them wrong. Those first 5 years nearly killed me. 90-hour weeks became normal. I missed everything, dinners, birthdays, anniversaries. But Sarah supported me. At least, that's how I remember it. She'd smile and say, we were building our future together. I believed that once we made it, everything would magically fall into place. We'd have time then. Quality time. All the time we needed. That lie carried me through 2 decades of destruction. When Emma was born in 1983, I was stuck in a board meeting. Sarah went into labor, and I showed up at the hospital hours late. I'd already missed the birth. But I told myself it was fine. I'd be there for all the important stuff. Except I wasn't. Her first steps? Missed them. First day of school? Working. Soccer games? Too busy. High school graduation? Had a client emergency. There's this one memory that cuts deeper than all the others. Emma was 7. She'd drawn this picture of our family and came running into my home office, practically glowing with excitement. But I was on a conference call. I held up one finger. The universal, just a minute signal. She waited, maybe 30 seconds. Then she left. Years later, I found that drawing in a box of old papers. At the bottom, in her messy 7-year-old handwriting, she'd written, I love you, Daddy, even though you're always busy. 7 years old. And she already knew I was never there. By 1995, we'd hit it big. $50 million. We bought the mansion I'd always dreamed about. Finally took a real vacation. Our first in 12 years. Hawaii. I remember thinking, see? All that sacrifice was worth it. But something had shifted without me noticing. Sarah had learned to live without me. She had her own friends, her charity projects, her entire life that didn't include me. Emma, now 13, treated me like a stranger who happened to live in the same house. I brushed it off. Teenagers, right? Once you went to college, we'd reconnect. That magical someday I kept promising myself. College came in 2001. Stanford. I was bursting with pride. When we dropped her off, she hugged Sarah for what felt like forever. Then she turned to me. 5-second hug. Stiff. Mechanical. Like hugging a distant uncle at a funeral. That same year, Sarah asked for a divorce. 23 years of marriage, and she was done waiting for me to show up. She'd been married to me on paper, but I'd been married to my company in reality. When she laid it all out, I couldn't even argue. Every word she said was true. So what did I do? Threw myself into work even harder. The company exploded to 200 million. Forbes put me on their cover. People asked how I did it. I never told them I did it by sacrificing everyone who loved me. 2009 brought my wake-up call. I was 61, working late as usual, when my chest started screaming. Heart attack. I drove myself to the hospital because there was nobody else to call. Sarah had remarried. Emma lived across the country. My assistant only found out the next day when I didn't show up to work. Lying in that hospital bed, wires and tubes everywhere. Something finally clicked. What was any of this for? The company? The money? The success? Who was I even building for anymore? Not Sarah. She'd moved on. Not Emma. She'd learned to live without me. For myself, for my ego, for some finish line that kept moving every time I got close. I sold the company in 2012. Massive payout. And then I had to figure out what came next. 64 years old, more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes, and absolutely nobody to share it with. I tried to fix things with Emma. Weekly phone calls, flying to New York to visit her, taking her to nice restaurants. But here's the brutal truth about time. You can't buy it back. Those soccer games I missed, gone forever. You can't retroactively attend your daughter's childhood. Emma's polite to me now. We have lunch sometimes, talk on the phone. But it's not what other fathers and daughters have. We don't have inside jokes. We don't have shared memories. We're cordial, pleasant, but we're not close. And that's entirely my fault. 3 years ago, she got married. She asked me to walk her down the aisle, and I did. But during her reception speech, she talked about her mom. How Sarah was always there. How Sarah taught her strength. How Sarah showed her what it meant to be a good person. Then she thanked me for coming. That's it. She thanked me for showing up to her own wedding. Like I was a guest, not her father. That night, alone in my hotel room, I broke down. First time I cried in decades. Because I finally understood what I'd lost. I missed everything. Every moment that mattered. I was so obsessed with building something I thought was important that I missed watching my daughter become who she is. Now I'm just this old man she tolerates out of obligation. Here's what took me 60 years to figure out. Success means nothing if you're alone. Money means nothing when there's nobody to share it with. Achievements mean nothing if the people you love don't care about them. I see young people today making my exact mistakes. Working 80-hour weeks. Missing their kids' bedtimes for one more meeting. Choosing their careers over their marriages. And they all say what I said, just a few more years. Once I hit this goal, once I make this happen, then I'll focus on what matters. But it never happens. There's always another goal, another promotion, another deal that feels crucial. The finish line keeps moving. Meanwhile, your kids grow up without you. Your marriage dies slowly. And you wake up one day as an old person with money in the bank and regret in your heart. If I could grab my 30-year-old self by the shoulders, here's what I'd tell him. Your company will survive if you leave at 5. That meeting can wait until Monday. That email can be answered tomorrow. But your daughter's childhood won't wait. Her soccer game is today. Her school play is tonight. Once those moments pass, they're gone. Work is always there. There's always another deal, another project, another crisis that feels urgent. But your kids won't always be kids. Your spouse won't always wait. Your parents won't always be alive. The people you love are on a timer. And you don't know when that timer hits 0. I have more money than I could spend in 5 lifetimes. Investments everywhere. Properties. A retirement fund that could support a small village. But I'd trade every cent for one more day with Emma when she was 7. One more evening with Sarah before I pushed her away. One chance to actually show up instead of always being somewhere else. You know what's funny? Nobody at my old company remembers me. They brought in new management after I sold. Within 2 years, it was like I'd never existed. Those deals I worked so hard on, nobody cares. The achievements I thought were so important, they're buried in old business magazines nobody reads. But Emma remembers. She remembers every time I wasn't there. Every missed birthday. Every broken promise. Every time I chose work over her. Those memories are permanent. They shaped her. They defined our relationship. And I can't undo a single one. Now I'm 76. Living alone. I've got more free time than I know what to do with. I read. I travel. I volunteer. But mostly, I think about what could have been. The life I could have lived if I'd understood that success isn't measured in dollars or deals or square footage. Success is measured in relationships, in being present, in love. So if you're reading this and you're about to work late again, I need you to stop. Close the laptop. Go home. Have dinner with your family. Play with your kids. Watch that show with your spouse. Be present. Be there. Because I promise you, 20 years from now, you won't remember what that report said, but you'll remember whether you were there for the moments that mattered. And if you're thinking, but my situation is different, I'm building something important. I thought that too. Every person who makes this mistake thinks they're different, but we're not. We're all the same. We all think we have more time. We all think family will wait. We all think we can make it up later. You can't. I learned this 40 years too late. Don't make my mistake. Go home. Be present. Choose the people who love you. Because at the end of your life, nobody's going to care about your career. But the people you love will care whether you were there. And if you're not careful, you will end up exactly like me. Rich, successful, accomplished, and completely alone. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. It should. If it makes you want to change something, do it now. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Today. Right now. Because time doesn't care about your plans. It just keeps moving. And one day, you'll run out of it. So here's my question for you. What are you going to do differently? Drop a comment and tell me. And then, this is important. Close this screen and go be with someone who matters. Because they matter more than anything else ever will.